You can always root on disloyalty from Donald Trump. You'll never go broke. You'll never go broke betting that he will pull the loyalty rug out from underneath you. That is always a safe bet.
The communist and the fascist. That's what the headline on the Drudge Report read after the stunning meeting between Zoran Mamdani and President Trump in the Oval Office. Welcome back in to the Sanity podcast. Dave and Allison back with you. Please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends, like the video. It was a miraculous moment in the Oval Office, Allison. I, for one, was not shocked like the rest of the world. Were you?
I wasn't shocked. And I do feel, Dave, that part of our bringing sanity to the masses, since that's our stated goal, is I do think that I can walk everyone through what this was all about. For people whose heads exploded, why did this happen? What does Donald Trump want? I think I have the answer about what this was all about.
I'm looking forward to hearing that, because generally speaking, when the right and the left hate something, that means I love it. So on the surface, I did love it, because for a moment, it was exactly what this country needed. But we'll see if we subscribe to the same theory after we show you, in case you missed it, what happened the before and after of Mamdani and Trump.
What are you doing? Name your favorite dinosaur. Velociraptor.
All right. If you were a chick, who's the one guy you would sleep with?
John Stamos.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup.
Okay, sorry, that wasn't Mamdani and Trump, but that was my characterization of what happened between these two. It was Stepbrothers too.
That was a brilliant analysis, Dave. Thank you for that. I haven't heard that analysis anywhere else. And that's
we'll get to this, but it almost has the same depth or lack thereof of what we saw from Stepbrothers. So here now the real before and the real after. We're going to do one at a time. Here is the before.
And if there is any way to terrify a despot, it is by dismantling the very conditions that allowed him to accumulate power.
Zoran Mamdani, 34-year-old Democratic socialist. He's the
communist, not socialist, communist. He's far worse than a socialist.
Far worse than a socialist. These two essentially hated everything the other stood for, and then came this.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes.
Okay. All right.
Okay? Yeah. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind. I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
Wow. Again, okay, maybe I was stunned. I take it back now that I see it again. But Allison, I think we used to work at Fox, and if we had a body language expert, which we certainly would, that pat on the shoulder would have been everything. That is a true sign of engagement from Donald Trump.
Well, is it? I mean, it's a true sign of Trump being Trump. That was just the Trumpiest meeting that I have seen in a long time. And because we worked at Fox, Dave, and because I've had 2 one-on-one private meetings with Donald Trump where there was no one else present. So here their chief of staffs were present, okay, where no one else was present. I do feel like I bring a little bit of insight to this conversation. So when our friends and when people in the media said, what was that about? What happened? Has Donald Trump let his guard down? Why are they talking? Let me explain something. Donald Trump likes meeting with relevant, attractive winners. That's what he likes. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. That's just what he likes doing. And furthermore, his narcissistic disorder allows him to think that he will convert them. So Putin, not that he's an attractive, but he is relevant and he is an important leader. So
and he is powerful.
He's powerful. Kim Jong-un. Donald Trump's narcissism and delusions of grandeur, he goes into these meetings thinking with his charm offensive that he can win them over. He did that same thing with me when I worked at CNN, thinking that he could win me over. And so that's why he has these meetings, because he does like the personal mano a mano, one-on-one, it means nothing. Dave, let me cut to the chase. It means nothing. It's not like, even if they agreed on crime in New York or affordability in New York, he'll never keep those promises. It doesn't mean that tomorrow he's not going to go back to calling Mamdani names. It was truly just a meeting because Donald Trump thinks those meetings are fun. That's it.
Really want to disagree with you. I think it's better television, better podcasting when the two hosts disagree on their core argument. Wholeheartedly agree with that. Those who were searching for some deeper meaning, and I heard this from both sides. Strategy. Many on the right felt, oh, Donald Trump got him right where he wanted him. He played him with his charm. I heard the same argument from the left. Mamdani played Trump perfectly with his charm. No, I did hear more on the right who were furious. A lot of my friends and family who are true core Trumpers hated this.
Why?
They
What
subscribe
don't-
nothing positive to this. They hated it because they hate what Mamdani stands for. And they only liked one thing, Allison, that they made Mamdani stand next to him while he sat in the power position, which I do think was the intention that didn't work.
I'm glad you brought that up because speaking of our body language segments that we used to do on Fox, is that the power position? He's lower than Mamdani. I feel like the standing over somebody is the power position. The sitting like crouched lower, I don't think that's great optics for President Trump. Actually.
Well, I think the fireside chat is where he elevates you, right? MBS sat right next to him. Generally speaking, the high profile meetings that Trump has where he is looking at a peer is where he's sitting at their level in the Oval. You know what I mean? But this is where basically photo ops take place, where celebrities or cabinet members stand behind him while he commands. I don't think that ended up working. I think that was the concept, but who knew that he was going to pat him on the shoulder? And before I get to my theory, I do want to get your thoughts on him not minding that he's a fascist. He doesn't mind. He said, go ahead and say, yes, it's no big deal. What do you make of that before I tell you my whole theory?
What I heard in that is that every single thing is political to Donald Trump. Every single sentence, every single motivation, every single calculation is political. So what he was saying was, oh, go ahead. You were campaigning.
This is all theater.
This is all theater. He can call me whatever he wants. Whatever.
See, I think you're getting very close to my biggest takeaway here from this meeting, which was Donald Trump doesn't care about politics. I'm sorry to break your heart, MAGA. I'm sorry to break your heart, conservatives and Republicans, and even Democrats who think he stands for something. He doesn't care about any of these issues. Maybe tariffs and maybe the border a little bit. Let me be clear.
You're saying he is all about politics, not about issues.
Right. Let me get to my ultimate point here, which is Donald Trump would have run as a Democrat if you go back to 2010, 2012. If his points resonated with Democrats, he would have happily run for president as a Democrat because, to my point, he just doesn't care about these issues. Yes, he cares about being elevated to a position of extreme power, but he doesn't actually care about the policy, any of it at all. Let's not forget, he was a Democrat for what, 65 years before he turned to a Republican? Yeah. Do you disagree with the fact that this was just a reminder that it's really about personality? It's not about politics.
Well, I think I object to your phrasing. He cares about politics, not policy. He cares about personality.
Sounds like a Frank Luntz segment that we need. We need Frank to join us.
He's very fluncy right now. He cares. So he cares. He's only about politics. And by that, I mean winning. Who's winning? Who's losing? Winning, optics, losing, losers. That's all politics to him. He doesn't know anything about policy. He doesn't care. He has no core convictions, as we know. He can flip on a dime. He says one thing one day and another thing the other day. We all know that to be true. But let me ask you this, Dave. Were your friends who really objected to him meeting with Mamdani, why? They thought Mamdani was going to play him? Like, what did Mamdani get out of this? What were your friends upset with? I mean,
be clear, and I talked to several. They were not angry that they met. They were angry that Donald Trump, in their eyes, elevated Mamdani and made him seem like the very calculating, charismatic, political professional. Even these very close MAGA friends said, wow, that Mamdani guy is a pro. And they were stunned at how well he performed in that moment. They hated that they felt like Donald Trump actually elevated Mamdani rather than keep him as the look. The only thing that confuses me here is Donald Trump loves nothing more than a bad guy, nothing more than a Darth Vader. And he had one. He had one in Mamdani. This is who you are, Democrat Party. How does he then make that case as we approach 2026 when we have the sound bites of him
like that? He doesn't care. As we know, we always roll the tape. We always go back to, remember when you were a Democrat? Remember when you were sane? Remember when you were pro-choice?
Yeah.
Remember when you said this? Remember? And nothing sticks. Nothing matters. I mean, I've interviewed him on camera where I've said, remember when you said this? And I've quoted his exact words to him and he's gone, never said it. Move on, doesn't matter. Like, I'm quoting his words back to him. And so tomorrow he can go back to vilifying Mamdani. But I take your point. I don't think that Mamdani needs Donald Trump to seem charismatic and to seem like a leader. He didn't need that Oval Office meeting. I think that people see him as a gifted already politician. But okay, I see. I guess if your MAGA friends think that Donald Trump stands for something, maybe they'd be disappointed. But he doesn't, and none of it. I'm sorry to disappoint people who thought that this was the glimmer of some sort of bipartisanship or the glimmer of some sort of working together. It's not.
But shouldn't we celebrate it? Like, for all the criticism Trump takes and deserves, shouldn't we celebrate it? Shouldn't we say, for God's sake, that guy, that Donald Trump, would probably have a number in the low 50s. Instead, he's in the mid 30s. That guy, I think, could be an effective leader.
I like what you're saying, Dave. And I do think we should give him some positive affirmation since he needs that. But it has no durability, unfortunately. We just have seen him so easily, immediately vilify somebody. Look at what's happening with Ukraine. I have 1,000 examples of him appearing to support something and then the next day turning on a dime and vilifying someone. So if there's no durability, but yeah, that would have been great.
There was a moment though that I sat there and my wife knew that for me, it was appointment viewing. Like, I literally set several alarms because I wanted to watch the whole thing. And I talked to several people who were the same way, that set alarms, that went out of their way to find out when that was started because they wanted to see the optics. And for me, again, like, I agree with you. It is surface level, but for a moment, it reminded me of a better time and of a better politics. And I'm sure it doesn't last. And in particular, because when you take into context what happened that night, like 6 hours later, when arguably the biggest supporter of MAGA, arguably the one congressman who was closely aligned with MAGA more than any other, who, despite some recent criticism of Donald Trump, remains an election denier who wants and is happy that Jan 6ers were pardoned. Of course, I'm talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene, and here is part of her resignation speech on Friday night.
And I do not want my sweet district to have to endure a hurtful and hateful primary against me by the president that we all fought for, only to fight and win my election while Republicans will likely lose the midterms, and in turn be expected to defend the president against impeachment after he hatefully dumped tens of millions of dollars against me and tried to destroy me. It's all so absurd and completely unserious.
The full MTG is on display. And this is where I struggle, because this was the same 12-hour period in which she elevated and chummily hung out with Mamdani and exchanged handshakes and then turned his back, calling her a traitor once again, one of the original members of MAGA. So with those two things put together, now what's your takeaway?
You can always root on disloyalty from Donald Trump. You'll never go broke You'll never go broke betting that he will pull the loyalty rug out from underneath you. That is always a safe bet. What I'm interested in, Dave, and I want to hear your take on how you interpret Donald Trump's flip-flop there. But I thought Marjorie Taylor Greene was made of tougher stuff, frankly. I thought she was a little bit more badass than this. And I don't mean to I'm not really trying to insult her here. I just thought that she was in it for the long haul. I thought that she was somebody who had proven that she could take a punch and keep going. So I was very confused about her sudden, it seemed to me, about face of like, oh, actually, I'm not in this fight anymore.
I was stunned in particular because once you're off this island, you are gone unless you pull an Elon Musk, which I don't know. Maybe she could at some point just forget about everything and come back to the island the way Elon Musk did. Let's remember, he was the reason, arguably, that the whole Epstein files story started. Elon said President Trump was in them, and now he is back in the good graces of Donald Trump. So I wouldn't rule out a future reunion between the two. I agree with you in that I thought she would fight on. I just don't know the length to which her family and the threats were coming. There are a lot of these Democratic congressmen who were part of that military video that have said now they require full-time security, that there have been threats on their lives. And that's a whole nother subject, what they did with the military video, which I didn't love. But if Marjorie Taylor Greene felt her family was in jeopardy, I don't think any of us can question her ability to stay in a fight if that was the fact. But where does she go from here? Like, what is she now? And I know she's made a lot of money and they have a construction company. So maybe it's just like, hey, this is utter nonsense. I can go be happy and make a lot of money. And she's probably made a ton of connections. Maybe it was that, but I just don't know politically. People that talk about 2028, no, zero chance. There is zero chance she could compete with the likes of JD Vance.
Yeah. I think the only thing that crossed my mind was that she's been on CNN a lot recently. Maybe there's a contributorship, which she'd make more money than being in Congress. I mean, I don't know what her finances are, but she would certainly make more money being a CNN contributor than being a congresswoman. So I thought maybe that had been dangled. Maybe that's why she bailed right now. What other person that when you say who's like been off the island and then come back, look at what Megyn Kelly had to do. Look at what Megyn Kelly had to do after Donald Trump publicly insulted her and went after her. And I believe she had death threats and stuff. Then she had to kiss the ring. She had to do a completely softball interview with him. And then finally she decided to campaign for him and like kiss him on stage after there was blood coming out of her wherever. So
then she had to put on the lifelong earmuffs to all the horrible things that he says that she ignores on a daily basis, like saying Democratic congressmen deserve death for seditious behavior. So yes, you're right. She is probably the prime example of someone who came back to the island, but also a reminder of what she had to go through and what she continues to tolerate on a daily basis. You got me with the CNN thing. I think that might be it, because let's be honest, I don't think CNN needs anything more than they need another Scott Jennings-like figure, someone who can walk the walk and talk the talk. I mean, she would get blasted and obliterated from her MAGA friends, but I think that's the move. I think you nailed it.
I think that, first of all, can somebody give Scott Jennings a rest? I mean, he's the only voice. I mean, he's one of the voices. I shouldn't say he's the only voice. There are other smart conservatives on CNN, but I think that given that she's been on there recently quite a bit, the bookers have been bringing her up. I think it would be, but she's truly MAGA. Like, Scott is a recent he's a convert, but she's through and through. So if you're trying to channel how MAGA is really feeling at any given moment, she'd be a great mouthpiece for that. So,
and that would explain why they've been so gracious to her on air. And now, obviously, they like that she's come and turned on Trump when it comes to tariffs, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to even immigration and being the America First president. She has criticized him on all of those fronts. But they kind of seem to have forgotten that she's still happy that Jan 6ers were pardoned. And as we found out, many of them have committed serious crimes since being pardoned. that's still who she is at her core, and still believes, or at least says, that the 2020 election was stolen. But CNN has stayed away from that. So, and been very gracious to her, called her courageous on air.
Can you imagine, Dave, what Fox would have done if somebody that Biden or Obama or Clinton had pardoned went on to do violent crimes? Okay, can you imagine the drumbeat, the daily drumbeat of every single show? It's like what they do with illegal immigrants. When an illegal immigrant commits a violent crime, they hit it every single hour, every single day. And the fact that Donald Trump has pardoned these January 6ers who've gone on to commit violent crimes, nothing, not mentioning it.
But that is because Fox and the right, and I've said this for years, they know how to play and fight dirty, and the left simply doesn't understand it. Democrats don't know how to do it. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries just throws up all over himself every time he's handed an opportunity. I mean, I don't think that they will ever truly learn how to play and fight dirty and get down there in the mud. Maybe I'm wrong. I know some on the left would say, oh, they already do in their ways, but it's a different skill. It's a different skill set they don't have.
Yeah, here again, Dave, you're talking about politics and the dirty pool of politics. I was attempting to talk about journalism. I mean, Fox masquerades as a news organization. It has news in the name. Some people still mistake it for news, and they don't cover what's happening with the January 6th criminals.
Right, but MS Now should be laying out in a series the people who have committed violent crimes after being pardoned by President Trump for
Aren't they?
January 6th.
Maybe they are. Maybe we're just missing it.
That is true.
Yeah,
We aren't staying tuned 24 hours a day, but
we used to.
I enjoyed the conversation. Anything good for Thanksgiving? What do you got?
Oh, I deep fry a turkey.
This is right. And so you don't need as much preparation when you fry it, right?
1 hour.
That's a
1
beautiful
hour to
thing.
deep fry a 17-pound turkey. I will be posting it on Instagram. That's what I do every year. I know that people look forward to this video to see if I'm actually going to burn my house down this year. So we'll see.
You're a veteran. One side, you could have one side for the rest of your life. On a Thanksgiving side, what is it?
An Italian sausage stuffing.
Italian sausage. Is that, see, because I was going to say stuffing as well, but I don't know if we have Italian sausage in ours. Is that what we're missing out on?
Italian sausage is, I mean, it makes it. It's so savory. It's so delicious. It's so salty. It's so fatty. It's so delicious.
It's really the only of the side dishes that I say, why don't we have this more? You only have it that one day of the year, whereas the turkey and the cranberry and most of the stuff, like, I could live without, like the turkey in particular. I mean, I'd rather have a honey baked ham, but yes, the stuffing is the sweet spot. Well, happy Thanksgiving, my friend. Enjoy it.
Okay, dear, you too. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And remember to please subscribe to our channel and like this, and we'll see you next time.
And most importantly, tell us where we're wrong on this Mamdani Trump reunion at the Oval Office. Please, we want to discuss it. Drop your comments below.